Good day, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Jolanda Jonkhart. I am the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS Country Manager in Indonesia. And it's my pleasure to present to you today our program on restoring Indonesia's peatlands. Sorry for that. I hope you can all see the presentation. I'm very pleased to present to you today our program on restoring Indonesia's peatlands. Carbon that has been stored for millennia, that is what is at risk. Do you know how old the oldest tropical peatland in the world is? And do you know where it is located? The oldest known tropical peatland in the world is located in the upper basin of the Kapuas River in West Kalimantan province in Indonesian Borneo. It has been carbon dated to almost 50,000 years old and attains a depth of 18 meters. It's not all that unusual for tropical peatland to be 20 or so meters deep. So what are tropical peatlands? Peat derives from wetland vegetations like trees, sedges, and shrubs. It forms in acidic waterlogged conditions, and because of a lack of oxygen available for microbes, that plant material does not readily decompose, and it accumulates therefore year after year, forming peatlands. Our best estimate of tropical peatland area is nearly 44 million hectares, of which 57% is in Southeast Asia. The area, however, is not the best measure of the important role of tropical peatlands. Instead, it's the size of the carbon pool that's crucial. So let's examine the size of this pool then. Indonesia actually holds the largest share with 65% of the global total of tropical peat, or that is about 12% of the global peat carbon pool. To put this number in perspective, Indonesia's carbon pool is not far from being double the entire planet's energy-related emissions in 2019. Because of the difficulty in accessing tropical peatlands, their value for carbon storage and biodiversity has often been overlooked. Globally, according to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, peatlands store more carbon than all other vegetation types in the world combined. It's a unique ecosystem, and tropical peatlands sustain a rich range of habitats and species. It's key for the conservation of many critically endangered species, as you see here. Unfortunately, of course, also in Indonesia, Indonesian peatlands face growing pressures and threats from human activities, including agricultural conversion, timber harvesting, and peatland drainage. Intact peatlands are, as we discussed, carbon sinks. But when drained for agriculture and exposed to oxygen, and especially to fire, they become immense carbon sources, releasing 10 times as much carbon dioxide as forest fires. In 2015, massive fires across Indonesia destroyed 2.6 million hectares of forest and peatland. That is an area equivalent to almost 250 times the size of Paris. And these fires released 1.6 gigatons of CO2. Now, all fires in Indonesia's peatlands are set by people, and they are set to clear vegetation prior to undertaking agricultural activities, for example, for large oil palm and pulp and paper plantations, as well as small farmers who need to clear patches of land for their food and livelihood security. The haze from the 2015 fires also spread to Malaysia and Singapore, triggering school closures, respiratory health issues, and transportation disruptions across the region. The World Bank estimated that the 2015 fires cost Indonesia alone a total of $16 billion in economic losses and damages, or that would be about 13.8 billion euros. And the chances of a deliberately set fire becoming an uncontrollable peat fire are much greater as a result of climate forcing. In general, the globe is, as we know, becoming hotter. Added to that are two forms of atmospheric circulation that can result in significantly drier conditions over Indonesian peatlands. That is, first, a positive El Nino event, and second, a positive Indian Ocean dipole. And as we now understand, an increase in El Nino frequencies and magnitude is being driven by global heating. And 2015, the year of these massive fires in Indonesia, was also an El Nino year. Today, however, 5 years later, Indonesia leads the world in the restoration of tropical peatlands. In a significant shift to prevent future fire catastrophes, as occurred in 2015, the President of Indonesia, Jokowi, mandated a new governmental structure, the Peatland Restoration Agency. Funded by Norway's International Climate and Forest Initiatives, UNOPS has since 2018 worked together with the Peatland Restoration Agency in the Results Enabling Facility to support the agency's work and also many of the SDGs that you see indicated here. So what do we do under this program? Under this program, we work in 7 priority provinces. And to restore the degraded peatlands, to prevent future fires, the Peatland Restoration Agency works in 7 priority provinces across the country. That is 3 provinces each in Sumatra and in Kalimantan, and 1 in Papua. These 7 provinces saw significant fires during 2015, burning a total of 2.6 million hectares. So, and this map shows these provinces, as you can see, and also the extent and the depth of the peatlands in these 7 provinces. So what is the strategy then for restoration of peatlands? The Peatland Restoration Agency's restoration work focuses on what we call the 3 R's. That is re-wetting, revegetation, and revitalization. The most effective way to prevent fire is actually re-wetting, seen here on this picture as the construction of canal blocks. So to date, the agency has helped communities build more than 5,000 of these blocks, as well as drilling more than 8,000 borehole wells, which are used both to re-wet peat and to extinguish any fires that might be set. So rewetting is achieved by building canal blocks, infilling of canals, and the drilling of deep borehole wells that increase peatland soil moisture and raise the water table level. So rewetting allows nature to take over and heal itself, and for peatlands to return to their natural state. So this is what it looks like when nature takes over and where peatlands are gradually returning to their natural state. So the second R is for revegetation. Replanting native trees is a long-term initiative and a way to keep peatlands healthy and to provide food and habitat for animals. Because some of the tree species have economic value for non-timber products, it also holds the promise of developing alternative livelihoods for peatland communities. So several revegetation in peatlands modules have been produced. The revegetation process is a joint effort between the Peatland Restoration Agency, provincial governments, and the Ministry of Environment and Forestry at all levels. The third R stands for revitalization. Economic revitalization focuses on the sustainable use of peatland resources, such as what you can see here on the picture, the Purung handicrafts and fashion initiatives. And this brings a positive impact to hundreds of villages across the 7 priority provinces. And here you can see a few more examples of revitalization. The primary purpose of these activities is to encourage peatland communities to adopt sustainable livelihoods, that is, agriculture without burning. To assist this end, 110 village enterprise cooperatives and farmers groups have been established and new business models formulated to improve the value-added potential of native peatland commodities. And the program has so far capacitated 159 village governments to create 5-year development plans that endorse the restoration objective and to actively build and maintain rewetting infrastructure, set up revegetation nurseries, and to provide stimulus packages to revitalization village enterprise cooperatives. And there are also several additional impacts that the program has achieved that I would like to mention to you. So on a broader scale, the capacitation for 5-year development plans also takes place at provincial levels. And on a sub-regional level, the program has encouraged the clustering of villages in rural zones and rural business zones to improve added value to their production and to improve marketing. And the program's incubator fund is also trialing a commercial approach to stimulate local economies and to induce established companies to invest in businesses which are suitable for peatland areas, such as, for example, production of organic coconut sugar. The program furthermore contributes to the advancement of innovative peatland mapping and monitoring technology by supporting the development of a web-based Peatland Restoration Information Monitoring System, the so-called PRIMS. This incorporates sophisticated satellite imagery as well as real-time groundwater level monitoring in the field. And so this enables everyone to see how the re-wetting is succeeding. And users of this system can also see real-time fire hotspots from satellite data in this system. The program furthermore contributes to the achievement of SDG number 5, gender equality. UNOPS works with the Peatland Restoration Agency and with all implementing partners to mainstream gender within the operations at all levels. Here, for example, you see the inclusion of women farmer groups in the prevention of fires in and near their villages. Restoring peatlands might first appear to be a difficult thing and a mission impossible, and it's really unquestionably a decades-long journey that requires hard and consistent work. But we believe that peace is about living in harmony with nature, and together with our partners, we are optimistic that we have found here also a way to contribute and to reach this goal. Thank you very much for your attention and for your support. Thank you very much. I will return to the questions, if there are any. So if you have any questions, please. I'm opening up for questions now. Thank you. So there is one question that we have for the moment. And the question is the example of Indonesia followed by the other countries of the region? And the second question, how has the COVID-19 crisis impacted the project? Has the fight against the pandemic overshadowed environmental issues? To start with the first question, the example of Indonesia is also followed by other countries in the region. Of course, Indonesia has the largest tropical peatlands of in the world, I would say, and the other tropical peatland areas are mainly to be found in Latin America and in Africa. So there is an exchange of information and good practices and knowledge on how to prevent peatland fires and how to socialize villages and villagers to be present of this peatland restoration effort. So exchanges are happening, and knowledge management and knowledge transfer is also happening between different countries in the region and also actually with other continents. Then the COVID-19 crisis impacted the project. Yes, I mean, the COVID-19 crisis has, of course, also impacted the project in the sense that it is, of course, not so easy to travel around to the villages. People who are giving the villages support in training, capacity building, or providing support, for example, for showing, the options or possibilities for alternative livelihood activities. They are, of course, not really able at the moment to travel extensively to the other two areas in Indonesia. So, however, that being said, I mean, the peatland fires are, of course, extremely important and have an impact on the COVID situation itself as well. The haze that results from the peatland fires, of course, also has a negative impact on the COVID-19 situation. As we know, apparently, with pollution and haze and so forth, the number of infections is probably only going to rise. So actually, prevention of peatland fires, especially during this time, is extremely important to make sure that the pandemic impact is reduced as much as possible. So therefore, I mean, while we still try to sort of minimize the traveling to the peatland areas, at the same time, we still have people going into the field to support the villages with the prevention of peatland fires. So the Peatland Restoration Agency is still working during this time in the field in the peatland areas. Let me see how to incentivize more public-private partnerships for environmental issues like this. So what we do under the program, for example, is to support and to encourage public-private partnerships under a incubator fund, whereby we encourage the private sector to invest in those commodities that are actually suitable for peatland areas. As we discussed earlier, the peatland areas have often been used for agricultural activities and large-scale plantations that are not really suitable for peatlands. So the Peatland Restoration Agency is also encouraging the private sector to invest in those commodities, in different commodities that are more suitable for peatland areas. So we have an incubator fund, for example, that is supporting those initiatives with a bit of seed funding, where otherwise possibly the investment might seem a bit too risky, but where we try to induce the private sector to invest in, for example, the examples that we saw, for example, the Purun handicrafts, or the coconut, which is also can be used on certain peatlands, not all, but on certain peatland areas for coconut derived products. And for example, also very importantly, those commodities that will thrive well on wetlands, like for example, sagu, which is also very suitable for example, animal feed. So we try to encourage these public-private partnerships, also together with village enterprises that exist in most villages in Indonesia, and especially also in the peatland areas, where you have the village enterprises, and to work together with those village enterprises to support alternative livelihood opportunities. Is this project being or will be replicated in other parts of the world where fires threaten peatlands? Well, we hope so. We definitely would like to extend our experiences, knowledge to also other countries, work with other countries, other governments to share our experiences and what has worked well, what is not maybe working well, and to exchange also, you know, the best practices. So hopefully, I mean, in particular with other areas where you have tropical peatlands, in particular, we hope that we can extend this cooperation on a more global scale. The next question, was the project an initiative of the Indonesian government? The Indonesian government has, after the 2015 fires, has realized that it is extremely important to have a dedicated task force, if you like, to address this particular issue. It's an extremely important issue for Indonesia because the peatland fires in 2015 showed that if there is no further action taken on the peatland fires and the resulting greenhouse gas emissions, that Indonesia would have a difficult time in reducing its greenhouse gas emissions according to its national determined contributions, according to the Paris agreements and so forth. So yes, it wasn't in that sense a initiative of the Indonesian government. The Indonesian government established the Peatland Restoration Agency in 2016, early 2016, to work specifically on this issue of peatland restoration. And so the Indonesian government, the president himself, has established this agency, and the agency is responsible directly to the presidential office for its results. So in that sense, yes, it was an initiative. The project is supporting the agency in its work, and the project has been doing so, the UNOPS has been doing so since 2018 with the support of the Norwegian government. Let me see. So we have here one more question. Maybe we have time. I'm sorry, we maybe have time for how is the project perceived by the palm oil companies? The Peatland Restoration Agency is also working very closely with the palm oil companies. The palm oil companies have also, of course, an interest in reducing peatland fires. There is a moratorium on expanding into peatlands, and any fires that might be set or that result in also fires related to the, close to the palm oil companies, etc., would also impact, of course, their plantations at this point. So there is a close cooperation with the palm oil companies to reduce, minimize, and basically to ensure that no more peat fires are going to happen in the peatland areas in Indonesia. This is also in the clear interest of the palm oil companies. So especially also around the boundaries of the palm oil plantations, there's a lot of cooperation going on with the villages there, also with the small plantation holders and small-scale farmers to reduce the hotspots and to make sure that there is a transfer, let's say, to agriculture without burning. So I think I have to stop here. Thank you all for your questions. May I remind you also that please do visit our virtual booth if you want to know more about the project. And and we're very happy to send more information to anyone. Please, thank you for your time, and goodbye to everyone. Thank you.